So here it is, our brand new camera setup that replaced the C200s and also the GH5s. A lot of you have been asking what our entire new setup is, but I was waiting for one camera to still come in and get in stock. It's finally here. So I wanna walk you through the setup. This is not gonna be about why we chose this. I kinda did a video more about that specific topic recently when I talked about the A7S III as well as the FX3. This is gonna be more just a walkthrough of what our new kit is. This kit will be used for all of our commercial production work for Scaling Creative and also for the weddings for 4LC Studios. Whether or not I shoot them doesn't matter. This rig is just an incredibly powerful, super compact, and I think just amazing rig for just about any work that you do right now. So here's the setup, let me show you what it's all about. So obviously the first things first is the fact that we have FX3s as our main bodies and we have gone with 3 of them. For most of the work that we do, we will do between 2 and 3 camera setups for some of our multicam stuff. And so I like being able to have 3 cameras that are matching perfectly, that just have all the same settings, all the same buttons and everything. So it's really easy to just switch between them. We do have a 4th camera that is actually the A7S III. There's a couple of reasons why this is the 4th camera. The biggest reason being on my vlog camera that I use on a regular basis, I use the A7S III. So I wanted actually a backup to that in the rare event that something happened with mine. But also it allows me to be able to, if I just suddenly had someone else that was going to shoot something small and just they didn't need to bring everything with them, they could just have a nice little portable camera to bring with them as well. And because it's the same sensor, they match identically, same picture profiles, nothing's really missing from this. But I just figured I'd have an A7S III as a good backup that I can also use personally in the event that mine just for some reason breaks when I vlog with it. So 3 FX3s and an A7S III, those are our main bodies that we'll use for everything. Let's talk about the lenses. Just like I'd previously done with a lot of my other rigs, I'm a big fan of prime lenses, and the only lens in the entire lineup that has any sort of focal length and difference in it is the 70-200 G Master 2.8. So everything else in the kit that I'm going to talk about is all prime lenses, low aperture, beautiful, beautiful lenses. This lens will be used more than anything in the wedding company. We don't use the 70-200 that much on the commercial side of things unless we really need that extra reach. But most of the time we'll grab a prime rather than that. But this lens is tremendous, incredibly, incredibly sharp, built like a tank, looks great. Autofocus is amazing, obviously, on these cameras. And just a beautiful, beautiful lens. Just probably our least used lens of them all, but one that I think is still pretty important to have in the kit, especially when you're talking about weddings, because with ceremonies and things that you need to really be able to get close, this is a great option for that. So lens number 1 here is a 70-200 2.8 G Master. This thing's real, real nice. Let's start wide, and we'll start with the 24mm 1.4 G Master. This is our widest lens in the bunch, and this is one that we don't use a ton for the everyday shoot, but this is definitely the go-to lens that we will use on a gimbal or we'll use for any sort of obviously wide shots. We decided to go with this over the 16-35, primarily because it has a little lower aperture, but we also found that in my experience in the past, I really never needed to go as wide as 16, and I never really needed to go to 35 because I would just end up going to 50 instead. So I just kind of liked a prime lens, low aperture. This thing works amazing on the gimbal, but it's also just very small. So unlike the 16-35 that's much bulkier and big, this thing on a gimbal, on an A7S III or an FX3, just is super light and portable and easy to use. Works really, really well. Super sharp lens. Been a big fan of this ever since we've gotten this lens. And that's what we use from the wide perspective. I do have a 20mm lens on this A7S III, but this is actually just the lens that I normally use on my vlog rig. I just have it on here because I didn't have the other lens cap. But this is even wider than the 24, but this is not part of our actual kit. This is more just the camera that I use for vlogging on a regular basis that I hold in my hand. So in case you're wondering what lens this was, this doesn't count. Next lens is a 50mm lens. This is a lens that is obviously very popular focal length, 50mm, something that we use a lot. This is the only lens in the entire bundle that's not a G Master. Sony did just finally release the Sony G Master 50 1.2. I don't even think it's out quite yet, but I got this first because there was not a 50mm in the G Master line. But I really have been happy with this lens. I really love the quality of it. And for half the price of the G Master lens, I don't think that I'm actually gonna switch to the G Master. Because of what we use the 54 on a regular basis, I really do think Sigma makes great lenses. This lens looks really good. It's very nice. It has the same functionality that they do. All the other G Masters, it still focuses just as fast. It still looks just as good. It has a 1.4 aperture. So really, I don't see a huge reason to actually go to the 1.2. So as of now, I'm not planning on upgrading this to the 51.2, but this is this 50mm 1.4 art lens. Big fan. Sony E mount, works great, looks great, super, super heavy, built like a tank. The next lens, and my favorite lens ever, just like it was on the C200, the 85mm is just one of my favorite focal lengths ever. This thing is just so, so gorgeous, and this G Master 85 1.4 is just even nicer than the Canon. This thing just has the most amazing image quality. I feel like 85mm is such an awesome focal length for anything you're shooting, unless you're too tight, of course, but I just find myself wanting to grab this more than any other lens because it just gets such an incredible looking image. So I use this more than any other lens when I'm personally shooting. I really, really like it. It's big, thick, fat lens, but it's good. And speaking of big and fat, this one's even bigger. This is the 135 1.8 G Master. This lens I also absolutely love, but I don't use it nearly as much as the 85 because 135 on a prime is pretty tight, obviously. We'll use this if we know that we can get a little bit further and we want to be able to have that prime, really, really nice bokeh. This thing produces one of the most gorgeous images you've ever seen when you actually can use this focal length. But it's not used quite as much as the 85 from a versatility standpoint. And if we need more than this, we go to the 70-200. But the 135 will be really useful for the wedding side of things because a lot of times during a ceremony, for example, we will have a tight fixed camera on someone on both sides. So this will be really nice because this will probably be the one that's kind of unmanned, where it just produces a great looking image from bride or groom side, and it can just stay there and look great and just stay focused and work really nice for that. We definitely use these on commercial shoots as well, but we don't use it as much. Phenomenal lens though. 135 is just a really, really great lens for interview stuff, especially if you want that just creamy, creamy bokeh. It doesn't get much better than 135. And that's basically it from a camera and lens perspective. Pretty small, minimal setup. What I love about this specific rig is that everything you see here can fit in one pretty small Pelican case, which to me is a huge, huge deal because of the fact that we like portability. We like to be able to set it up as easy as possible. For the most part, when we do shoots with the FX3s now, really only one camera even keeps the handle on it for the most part. And the other two, we actually will just take out the case, put a lens on it and use it as quick as possible because unless we specifically need the XLR units or we need the handle for the everyday shoot where we're just holding it like normal, we don't even have to put the actual handle on, and then that way we can just keep these handles off nice and portable in the case. And when we get out of the case, we just put the lens on and we're ready to use it just like we would handheld. We really, really like what it allows us to do with that. The handle is nice to use and it's nice to have on there, but we don't have to have it on there, obviously, if we don't need those specific things. So if we can keep it off, keep it more portable and set it up quicker, then we prefer to do that. So obviously there's lots more to our overall rig that we use when we go out. There's lighting and there's audio and there's other things that we have to obviously bring with us, but this is just kind of a really quick rundown of the actual camera setup that we use. Cameras and lenses, that's obviously a big part of the work and the rigs that we have. So just wanted to quickly run through this with you. I will probably do another video very soon after I've used the FX3 for a more extended period of time of kind of some of the reasons why we really feel like it works phenomenal for us, but also like what it's like using it in real life. I recently have done some shoots with it for the first time, kind of using it all day and a lot of run and gun stuff. And so as I've started to use the camera more, I can speak a little bit more into what the actual camera is like using it. So I'll do another video on that very soon. So make sure that you subscribe, like this video. If you're new to this channel and you've never been to this channel, well, first of all, I'm honored to have you, but I love documenting my journey and telling you about new things I'm buying and things that are awesome and things that suck. And this channel is all about providing value in any way possible. So hang out if you still can, and hit that subscribe button. Would love to see you back here sometime. For all that have been watching this channel for a while, I appreciate you as always. Thanks for watching. Happy to answer any questions you have. Links to everything that I just talked about is in the video below, so let me know. Comment below, what lens do you like the best if you have any of those? What's your favorite focal length? But until next time, see you guys real soon. Thanks for watching.